Welcome back, students. I'm Pooja Rathod and I'm a psychology lecturer. Today we are going to talk about the topic that is perception, which is related to the chapter 4, that is cognitive processes. So this is the part of this chapter known as perception. Now in this particular picture you can see that there are two people and they are arguing on what they can see. So the person standing on the left side can see it as a figure 6, whereas a person standing on the right side of the screen, you can see that he is arguing as it is 9. Both are correct on their own way because they are saying what they can perceive. So to understand perception much in detail, we are going to go ahead. We will read activity 4 to understand what perception actually is. Imagine the following situation and try to understand the nature of perception. Imagine that a person is talking to you in a language which is unknown to you, for example, in Chinese. In such a situation, as you have no past experience of Chinese, you will not understand it, right? So, what exactly the person is talking? You will merely sense, that is auditory sensation, that the person is talking. So what is happening in the first example is, imagine if someone comes to you and he is talking in XYZ language which you don't understand at all. For example, Chinese or any other language that you are not understanding. Okay, so you can just experience the auditory sensation, although you can just understand that the voice is coming in, but you're not understanding what exactly that person is trying to say, because there is no past experience as in you have not learned that language or you have no clue about that language, so you are not understanding that language. So your perception does not take place because you don't have a past experience. In the second example, imagine that the person is talking to you in a language which is known to you, for example in English or Marathi. In such a situation, as you have a past experience of English and Marathi, you will understand, that is perceive, what exactly the person is talking. So over here in second example, it is very much clear that if someone talks to you in a language, not necessarily English, Marathi, any of your mother tongue, in which you have a past experience, so you will be able to understand what the person is saying because you are having a past experience of it. And that is what the perception is. Perception is a combination of sensation means over here the sensation was auditory. Auditory or sensation was there. There are various types of sensation related to our five sensory organs. So anything coming from our sensory organs plus assigning a meaning to the sensation based upon our past experience. So if you have a past experience to it and plus if you're having a sensation, then it is called as a perception. So perception is a combination of sensation plus your meaning given to your past experience. Fine, clear till here. So if we go back again over here, they can have this perception of a 9. Okay, so this person is having a perception of a 9. Now why he is having a perception of 9 is because his visual cues know that it could be 9, so they are sending a message to the brain because of his past experience with the numbers, and that is what is understanding it as a 9. So it is a combination of sensation plus his past experiences that it is saying it as a 9. So the definition of sensation would be the detection of the physical energy emitted or reflected by a physical objects occurs when the energy in external environment or body stimulates receptors in the sense organ. So sensation is something which is felt by our senses or our sense organs. So these are our 5 sensory organs, that is nose, eyes, touch or taste, and hearing. Okay, so all these are our 5 sensory organs. So whenever something happens, our sensory organs send the message to the brain. So that is sensation, and then our brain does this cognitive process relating to our past experiences, and it gives a perception about any particular object. Clear to understand? So, perception is the process by which a brain organizes and interprets the sensory information. So, anything that comes from our sensory organs, that our brain organizes and interprets it, is known as perception. So, earlier I explained you that perception is a combination of what? It is a combination of our sensation, which comes from our sensory organs, plus our past experiences. What is the difference between a sensation and the perception? Simple to understand. Sensation is gathering the information from the environment via your senses. So all the sensory organs take the sensory information from the environment. Okay, so for example, right now you are watching from your laptop screen or your phone screen, right? So all the information is taken from our eyes, right? And you are hearing this lecture through your ears. So right now the sensation that is working is from your visual and your hearing or ears. Okay, second is perception. Perception is understanding what is been sensed. Okay, so if you see this particular diagram over here, so over here what you can see, is it a vase or is it the face of two people? Okay, so whatever your visual is saying or is passing up in the brain, our cognitive processes are taking in the brain, and we are perceiving it based upon our past experiences. So if you are saying that there are two faces opposite standing opposite to each other, it is because you know how the side face looks like. If you are saying in the one glance that is a vase, because you have seen how the vase is. So depending upon your past experiences, you can easily perceive those things. So again I would repeat that perception is what? It is a combination of sensation plus our past experiences. So whatever our sensory organs send to our brain plus the combination of our past experiences gives what we understand or perceive. We will go to the meaning and definition of perception. In day-to-day life, we can easily sense different objects, surrounds, sounds, textures, tastes, odors, etc., to which we have paid attention and can name them. Okay, so if I say any object, can you tell me how the torch looks like? Torch. So it is a object, so you know how the torch is. If I say the sound of waves, so you can imagine how the sound of waves is. If I say the texture of sand or the texture of wall, so you can understand what the texture would be. If I say the taste of pizza or taste of chocolate ice cream, so you can understand how it tastes. If I say odor of lavender or any vanilla fragrance, so you can understand the odors, because you had a past experience to it, or you have paid close attention to how it tastes or how it sounds, right? Thus, in understanding the world around us, sensation occurs first, followed by the attention, and finally interpretation of the stimulus by the brain. And this process of interpretation of stimulus is known as perception. So that is what we studied earlier, right? So what happens is there is a process. First is sensation. So you are going to sense anything, right? Once you have sensed it, if it is drawing your attention to it, that then the second process occurs, that is attention. And once that particular thing has taken your attention, then it gives a cognitive process into your brain, and then that process is called as perception. So to understand attention in detail, you can go to the previous video which was posted about the attention, and you can understand what the attention is. Attention is something on which you can focus. So if there are various stimulus in the environment, you can focus on any few, and that is what the attention is. So the process of perception could be sensation, attention, and then perception. Interpretation of any stimulus requires a past experiences. Thus, perception can be defined as the process of assigning the meaning to the information received about the environment based upon the past experiences. Very simple to understand. If I say what is in your hand right now, or what are you looking at right now, or what is going on outside the window of your house, or what is happening in your living room. So all this is I'm asking you right now, and you are seeing it right now, you're paying attention to it, you understood what is going on right now, and then you are giving a perception about it based upon your past experiences. So the process of assigning the meaning to the information received. So whatever the information we are receiving from what? From our sensory organs about the environment is based upon past experience is known as perception. Now in perception there are two processes, that is bottom up versus the top down processing. Now in bottom up, what happens is that, can you see what is there on the laptop screen of this girl? It is letter B. Okay, so now how come she can say it is B is because the process has taken place, and that process is known as a bottom up process. So in bottom up process, all the data is being divided, so it gets passes through the sensory data through the retina, then the data is transmitted to the visual cortex, and then the data process to form a visual experience is done. Okay, so what happens in the bottom process, I will explain you in the detail if you have not understood. Bottom up process is an explanation of perception that starts with an incoming stimulus and working upward until a representation of the object is formed in our mind. This process suggests that our perceptual experience is based entirely on our sensory stimuli that we piece together using only the data that is available from our senses. So over here you can easily say that it is B. Why? Because what your brain has done over here, it has broken this particular alphabet into a parts. Okay, so first what it is doing, it is taking the data, then it is transmitting into the visual cortex, and then it is saying that it is a letter B. Okay, so it is breaking up the any process. For example, if in front of you there is a bottle, so what will happen in bottom up process is that you will understand that there is something in which the water is filled up. It is something from which you can drink the water. So what your brain says is that it is a water bottle. Okay, so what your brain has done, it has understood its part. The parts are being understood and then it is counted as a whole. So it is starting from a minute things and then it is going to the larger one. So it is a bottom up process. Now can you tell me from the first what you can see? The first one you can see is star, second you can see is arrow, and the third one, what can you see in the third figure? Can you tell me? So if you are saying it is number 13, this happens in the bottom up process. Now why it is happening? Because your brain has studied the minute parts of it, minute part of the figure, and then it has told the entire thing. So even though there are gaps in it, still the bottom up process, you are saying that it is a figure or the digit 13, and you're not stating it as a B because your brain has done a bottom up process over here. Clear? Any doubts in bottom up process? So bottom up process starts from the specific to it goes to the general. So it will study the minute parts of any object and then it will give you the whole picture. So that is the bottom up process. Next we are going to see the top down process that would be continued in the next class. So today we are going to stop over here. In case if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me. Thank you and take care.